Tick tock now. Tick tock. Tick tock. Tick tock.
Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is my channel, Jason's Weird Reads. This is where I like to talk about books, mostly horror books, fantasy, and science fiction. If that sounds like your bag, please hit the subscribe button and we'll discuss some books. Alright, so, I came across this completely blind. I was just checking out a new booktuber and I saw this tag. And I was like, what the hell is this? And it's the Book Addict tag. Now, the person I watched do this was, I ain't finna read that. I'll put his link down there. And he had a really cool video on and answers to these questions. And like I said, because I'd never seen this tag before, and I watched a lot of booktube videos, I really well, Book Addict. I'm a book addict. I'm also a booktube addict. So I thought I'd do this tag because it looked a lot of fun. So let's get into it. What is the longest amount of time you can comfortably go without a book? That's question number one. And for me, that's a couple of days at most, although that doesn't happen all that often because I tend to, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I listen whenever I possibly can. And the reason why I listen to so many audiobooks is because it's in my life, in my schedule these days, it is really hard to sit down and just read, like with my eyes. Even if I'm at home, not doing anything, my son is usually here, and he will come and bug me, and that is more annoying. I can't pay attention to what I'm reading if somebody keeps talking. I'm sure you feel the same. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Question number 2. How many books do you carry on your person, physical or device, at any one time? And, well, technically, I guess I carry hundreds of books, if not thousands. And that's because of my cell phone. I have the Kindle app on here, even though I prefer my Kindle White, which I can't see right now. I prefer the Kindle White, but if I'm without that, then I at least have this. And I also read a lot of books on the Apple app, the Apple Books app. iBooks, I don't know what it's called, but I have like, I don't know, too many books on that as well, so they're always at my disposal. I don't really carry physical books around anymore because, as I mentioned before, I'm always running around. I find it too difficult just to sit down and read like I used to be able to, which is frustrating as all hell, especially when you have a booktube channel. Moving on, question number 3. Do you keep every book you buy, receive, or are you happy to pass them on to make some space for more? I used to keep all my books, but that stopped when I learned that you could go to a used bookstore and trade in the old ones for a bunch of more books, and I was like, let's do it. But I don't really do that anymore. In fact, after a while of doing that, I kind of stopped because you just see the frustration in the bookseller's face when you bring in like bags of books or a box of books, because they're like book hoarders. They have so much stock, or they have to turn away books on you. Like, don't bring Stephen King. Like, they won't take any Stephen King, I guarantee it. But yeah, I kind of stopped doing that because they want to make money, you know? You may be a supplier to them, but they also need to make money. And so I kind of stopped doing that. Now I'll just give away books or I'll donate them. But yeah, I've actually thought about going even farther with that because the older I get, the more I realize that you just don't need all this junk. Even if the junk are books. Especially when you have this little device here or a Kindle Paperwhite. It's almost unnecessary these days to have tons and tons of books. So I was thinking of just keeping the ones that I absolutely adore and know I'll reread, and maybe getting rid of the rest. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Question number 4: How long would you spend in a bookshop or on a standard visit? So on a standard visit, it's anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. That's fairly typical, and that's like your regular chain bookstores. But if I go to the used bookstore, I find that I can spend a lot more time in the used bookstore, and I think the reason for that is because there's so many more things to find. I find you don't really go to the used bookstore looking for a specific book, unless that writer is fairly popular. So when I go to the used bookstore, it's to look for those rare things that you've been wanting to buy for a long time, and it's always great when you come across them. So it depends on the bookstore and what kind of stock they have, and of course the time that I have to do it. Question number 5, how much time per day do you actually spend reading? I think every day I spend at least an hour listening to audiobooks, at least. But reading with my eyes would be extra time, and sometimes I get another hour, maybe if I'm lucky even 2 hours extra, but that's very, very rare. So, you know, I think the average is about an hour a day, maybe 2, maybe an hour and a half at the most. Question number 6. Where does the task picking up a book appear on your daily to-do list? And for me, that's on my way to work, on my way home from work, so long as I'm not driving anyone else. Before bed, I'm always reading before bed, and anywhere else I can. If I'm alone at the doctor's office, then you know, hook me up with a book, please. Although that doesn't happen these days because of COVID, right? But you know, wherever I can, honestly. But I do have like a schedule. It sort of fits into my chaotic schedule of work and kids and all that other stuff. Question number 7. How many books do you reckon you own in total? Include e. I didn't know it included ebooks, because I have my answers here. But you know, the answer is still the same. I have no freaking clue. If we're just talking about physical books, I think I have 200 to 300 somewhere. Because I have a lot that are actually in storage, and then I have all these, and I have other bookshelves elsewhere in the house. But ebooks, my God, I know I have over 1,000 ebooks. So the number is, I don't have the time to go and check that number. It would take too long. Although it would be easier with the you know, with like the Kindle reading app. They'll tell you how many books you have, but you know what I mean. The counting of the physical books, that's too much. All right, now question number 8. Approximately how often do you bring up books in conversations? And to be honest with you, that's very rare for me, because a lot of the people I know don't really read books. But I do have bookish conversations with my wife, because she does read a lot of books. We don't read the same genre or anything quite like that, but we will sometimes discuss the books we're reading or the authors that we like. And sometimes I'll talk about books with my son, because we're always reading books to him, and so, you know, you got to kind of discuss them as well. And also my friend Michael Schutz, we talk about books all the time, because that's basically how we met, is through books. So either the writing of them or the reading of them. So question number 9. What is the biggest book, page count wise, that you have finished reading? And I would go with either The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, or any one of the bigger ones. I can't remember if it's Storm of Swords. I think that's the biggest one, by George R.R. Martin in his Song of Ice and Fire series. Definitely one of those books, because those are massive. They're like absolutely huge. They clock in at like over 1,000 pages each. It's mind-boggling. I can't think of any others. Maybe It by Stephen King, or The Stand. Question number 10. Is there a book you had to get your hands on against all odds? Meaning searching bookstores, online digging, stalking the author, etc. And the answer to that is no. And the reason for that is because there's always other books. I don't need to go running for books and hunting them. There are books. I think the author I hunted the most was Caitlin or Kiernan, like To Charles Fort with Love. I think I hunted that book a little bit, and Alabaster. But I can't really say that I hunted Tales of Pain and Wonder, because I got that one on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. There's also Grimscribe. I did hunt this one, but that, like I said, if there's a book I really want, I'm fairly patient. I don't need to just run out and buy it for the sake of getting it, because I also know the chances of me reading it once I get it are probably pretty slim. I mean, like reading it right away. And if there's an ebook, I'm just too easy to just go and buy the ebook if I really, really want to read it. So yeah, I'm not really a book hunter in that respect. What question number 11? Is there a book you struggled to finish because you refused to DNF? And no, I don't. Actually, I don't refuse to DNF. I'm very, very, very easy with the DNFing of books. I kind of prefer to DNF a book because if it's not blowing my socks off, if it's not enjoyable, at least it doesn't need to blow my socks off. But if I'm not enjoying it, I don't want to commit to it, and so I'll just put it down. And if I hate it, then no, I don't want to finish it. But I wasn't always this way. I used to be a completionist. I used to have to finish what I was reading, and but I can't remember any books that I actually finished, even though I hated. I can't remember. It was too long ago. I think it was like around 2007, 2008 when I decided that, I was going to start DNFing. And the weird thing about that is I find I DNF a lot more these days than I did back then. So I don't know why that is, but... Alright. Question number 12. What are 3 or some of your main book goals for this year? And for this year, I've talked about this. I want to read more fantasy because I love fantasy. I went from the years of 2006 to... I had to look this up on my Goodreads, but around 2006 to 2011 or 12, I read a lot of fantasy, at least for that time. Since then, the fantasy writing, the fantasy books, there's so many more now, and I just want to dig right back into it. And so, back then I read the first 2 books of the Malazan Book of the Fallen books, and I loved them. But I didn't continue them, and the reason why I didn't continue them is because of the damn size of them. Like, I'm intimidated by thick books. I think the reason for that is because I always obsess about the end of the year and how many books I've read at the end of the year. I gotta stop that mindset and just enjoy the book. And I'm trying to do that with the Malazan Book of the Fallen right now, because each book is really thick. Each book is at least, well, except for the first book, which is about 600 pages. Every book after that is at least like 800 pages. And, just saying one book is 600 pages alone is like, wow, that's big. But yeah, so I want to read more fantasy. I've loved the genre for a long time, and I don't feel I'm well read enough in it yet. So definitely more fantasy while sticking to the horror at the same time. Question number 13. Have you ever had the privilege of converting someone into a reader? By inspiration or your incessant nagging? And I think I did when I was a kid, like in my teens and high school. I was always carrying around a book. In fact, I was made fun of for always reading. If I had like a 400-page book, there was one guy who would make fun of me for how thick that book was, when I was like, it's 400 pages, that's not thick, because I would carry around books like Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon or The Stand by Stephen King. Now those are thick books, but a 400 page in comparison is nothing. But some of my friends back then would pick up some of the books I was reading because they were curious, and so I don't know if any of them stuck to reading. I don't think any of them like read avidly or try to read as avidly as I do. But yeah, I did turn some people on to reading via the lead by example type idea. And okay, so the last question here, question number 14. Describe what books mean to you in 5 words. And it was easy for me to come up with this. Pure, unadulterated, drug-like escape. Pure, unadulterated, drug-like escape. That wraps it up for me. Reading for me is very much, it's a drug. I love it more than anything else, honestly, especially when I'm in the grips of something that's very compelling and very good, and it's hitting the spot like I didn't think it would. There's nothing else compared to that. All right. thank you guys for watching. I'm going to actually tag some people here. I'm going to tag Dane Reeds. I would really like to see his answers on these. I'm going to tag Charles Heathcote. I tag Regina from Regina's Haunted Library, and Mindy from Mindy's Book Journey. Definitely, I want you guys to check it out. And one more, Alex from the Bookish Report. You're tagged as well. Alright, so thank you for watching, especially if you got this far. Keep being creative, keep being safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.